Hey guys, and welcome to The Division. My review of this. Just going to show some gameplay and then I'll talk about some initial impressions.
Target is secure. No more hostiles detected.
Great work, Agent. We'll get those drugs back to the wounded where they'll be used properly.
Alright, so as you can see, there's a lot going on here.
On our side.
I think they're still engaging a target out there. I think these are actually players here. No, they're not. Seems like AI, actually. The entire game is online, so there's one very weird thing is even in single player, there's no pause. Like the game just keeps going around you. One thing I'm semi-impressed by is the artificial intelligence. I think it's pretty decent, to be honest. It's the AI, as you can see, have been flanking us, taking cover, peeping out of cover, popping up in various locations of cover, and overall doing a great job of being aggressive and really surrounding the player and getting their aggression on, which is really nice to see. So let me talk about some first impressions. This game is free to play for about 3 days right now, and I guess it's the winter season, so I imagine it's appropriate getting close to Christmas. The entire city is taking place around Christmas time. You see Christmas trees, obviously the decorations out and everything. And right now we're in Brooklyn. Being a native of New York City, it's kind of interesting to see this play out. I'm not sure how big the actual city
Agent,
is.
excellent work. We're grateful for all the lives you saved. Why don't you come on back here? We got a little something for you.
That's very weird. I think these are pigeons, but they make sounds like hawks. Like yeah, it just kind of puts me off a little bit. Or maybe these are crows. Okay, they're crows. Haven't really seen crows, too many crows in New York City. Usually you get into the outskirts. What we do have a lot of is pigeons. So I'm not sure where that came from. Maybe it's because of all the dead bodies and these scavenging birds are here populating the city now. So that would make sense. So initial impressions, the combat, it's third person. Not a fan of that as a tactical shooter fan. Overall, there's way too much going on the screen. Maybe I'm out of touch or something, or I'm just an old school tactical shooter guy. But there is so much hand-holding in this. Are these guys fighting? Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, they're fighting. The premise of the story is that you are some sort of agent from the Division, which is has just been activated because a smallpox or a variation of that has taken over the city, and it's caused mass casualties, and law of order has effectively gone out of the window. So the Division is called in to restore order in New York City. There's obviously gangs and thugs that are confiscating food, terrorizing citizens. All they're trying to do is restore food, medication to people that need it, and restore law and order, essentially. Now the city is very impressive. One thing, you can't go into buildings, really, only designated ones, so that's fairly disappointing. And this is an area here where we did earlier I do like the climbing features and the animations. These guys were trying to, I think they were trying to take some food or morphine, I can't remember. Took those guys out. And then proceeded into the tunnel section. So I do like the ability to climb fences and all of that. By the way, this would be incredible in first person, obviously. Let's see if I can find that tunnel system here. Alright, so it's right down here. There was a hostage rescue mission early on. It was a side mission at a bank. And all in all, let's see if they even let us down here. I think there was a switchboard. So there are some objects that you can interact with the environment. And this tunnel system actually looks pretty cool here. So initial impressions, there's way too much stuff going on the screen. I mean, my eyes just don't know where to look, and I'll show you the inventory real quick. I mean, there's just stuff everywhere. It is an RPG kind of based game, so there's a lot of RPG elements, and there's tons of stuff that you need to interact with, including stats, you know, your appearance. You can change clothes, I guess. Character. There's weapons, obviously. You know, I imagine that there's level ups and perks and all sorts of stuff. Not really my cup of tea. You know, I like just the simple, like even Ghost Recon had stats, I guess. But they were, you know, I guess they did make sense in the game. Stamina, speed, leadership. Was there a speed one? Stealth, that's what it was. So you were harder to detect. Basically, it meant that the more experience you had, the harder you were to detect. So some of the perks, I'm not really, things like that make sense. But when it comes to, you know, I think there's like an X-ray vision one, or, you know, things like that. I'm just not really into like level ups. If this guy's an operator, right? He's a trained guy, then he should be fairly well versed in whatever he's doing. Anyway, that's a small thing. What I don't like is all the waypoints are everywhere. This hostage rescue mission would have been a lot more fun if I didn't have all the waypoints just hovering everywhere. And literally, if you open up the map and set a destination, it'll draw an actual line in the sky. You can't see it because we're in a tunnel here, but it'll draw a line in the sky with a little arrow and show you where to go. That's just too much. Let's see what's in here. So, went up this ladder. The animations, everything's beautiful. The sense of depth perception is not bad. Oh, let's see if this is repopulated here. Yep. And combat in the combat in this is essentially you just load a magazine into somebody's face. But notice how he's reacting to the incoming fire. Come on, get under cover. The whole third person thing, I mean, I can see him, he can't see me. That's completely unfair. And I got shot. So AI is not bad. Pretty impressed with it. Yeah, so this is that line that I was talking about. There it is right there. Very convenient, but it really takes away from the immersion. I forget who had a video on this, but the whole mini-map concept, I really don't like that. It takes your eyes away from the scenery. There's so much scenery to behold here. Like, put so much effort into these graphics, right? And your eyes end up skipping all of that, and the only thing you have to look at is that yellow line right in the middle of the sky, right? There's storefronts. There's just all these little details, you know, that your eyes are missing because there's HUD all over the screen, right? One of the things I like about the original Ghost Recon is that you had very minimalistic HUD. It was on bottom left, bottom right. You had a center compass, and that's it. You know, of course, you have your crosshair as well. That is the Brooklyn Bridge. You know, everything looks absolutely beautiful. I don't like not being able to use vehicles. I mean, you can't really get anywhere because everything's blocked off. But in a simulation like Arma, right, these vehicles would be usable if you could get into them, if they weren't locked or something like that, right? So the whole hand-holding thing is really not my thing, and I think a lot of people in the tactical shooter community, you know, they don't like that hand-holding. I try to turn everything off that I could, but this is as clean as I could get it. I wish there was, you know, at least a hardcore mode or something. I know there's a survival mode on, I think, in the Dark Zone maybe, where you have to eat and you got to stay warm or something like that. So, not to spend too much time on this, but what could have been a really great tactical shooter, you know, first person only, ability to turn off the entire HUD and focus on combat and tactics and things like that, you know, is really just kind of a casual shooter, just a casual RPG. The artificial intelligence is really good. If I try to imagine Ghost Recon in this scenario, obviously it would be first person, right? You'd be able to select your weapon loadout at the very beginning, things like that. The average playtime, I think, is somewhere around 18 hours, so it probably does have a very good storyline. But as it is, you know, it's got the Tom Clancy name on it. I think everybody knows that's kind of a misnomer when you compare it to the original Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon, because these titles just aren't what they used to be. I'm not taking anything away from it in the sense of it being interesting storyline. I'm sure a lot of people love this game. They like the multiplayer aspect of it. You know, for me personally, I get kind of bored with these things because there's so much hand-holding. It tells you where to go. You know, the combat isn't that interesting. It's kind of rinse and repeat. Empty a magazine into somebody because the bullet sponges, get under cover, you know, pop out of cover. You can see everything that's going on while combat is occurring. It's just too easy, and it doesn't make it interesting. I've heard the term for tactical shooters being thinking man shooters, right? Or Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six being games for adults. And if you kind of think about it, that was the market that they were targeting when in the mid-90s, when these tactical shooters came out. I mean, who played PC games, right? You had flight simulations, you had combat flight simulations, World War II, and then you had the tactical shooters come in. And I think the market was just more mature, and they played PC games for a challenge, not to be handheld. And now the market is just saturated with casual arcade style shooters. So kind of disappointed from that sense. You know, if you're into this, you know, don't be offended or anything like that. You know, if this is something that you enjoy aspects of it, you know, that's all good. But from a tactical shooter perspective, it's just not there, and I don't think that's what it's supposed to be. So this kind of, I would imagine, you know, that a lot of the aspects of this game that Ubisoft makes specifically, you kind of see it run in different titles, like in Far Cry and things like that. So kind of comparing this with videos of Ghost Recon Wildlands, for instance, they look very, very similar, and you know, you can make a comparison that they will probably play very, very similar. You know, so saying that, I'd just like to give you some thoughts on where I'd like to see tactical shooters go in the future. And the technology is here to really, you know, give us great graphics. Artificial intelligence, you know, I feel like it's been widely neglected for a very long time. There hasn't been much as far as in the video game industry. We've come very far with graphics and lighting and shadows, and that seems to be the emphasis of modern day titles. but this game shows that there is, definitely some improvement in that area. I wish we were much farther along in artificial intelligence as we are in the way the game looks and sounds. The sounds of this are really good. I think the weapons have a nice beefy tone to them. So where I'd like to see us go in tactical shooters is just keeping with the basics, the foundations. First person, being able to select a loadout, having exotic locations, realistic artificial intelligence, realistic damage models is extremely important, and just keeping things very, very simple. If you look at Ghost Recon, it's not an incredibly complex title, but it does have significant consequences, and it punishes the player for not using proper real-world tactics. Yeah, that's something that I really enjoy. There's no red screen, right, where you just duck behind cover and magically the bullets don't affect you anymore, right? Nothing like that. So anyway, I just want to give you my thoughts. If you want to check this title out, it's free to pick up for the next couple days, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.